everyone, and welcome to the Reading Dragons and Friends webinar. This is a bite-sized collaboration with the iREAD Summer Reading Program featuring the magical art of Carey Pietsch. So I am Mallory Thompson. I'm the Adult Department Manager at the Dover Public Library in Ohio and co-creator of the Reading Dragons and Friends.
And I'm Liz Strauss. I'm the Teen Services Manager at the Dover Public Library in Dover, Ohio, and the other co-creator of the Reading Dragons and Friends.
Carey, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm Carey Pietsch. I'm a cartoonist and illustrator, and I'm so excited to get to be one of the artists on the iREAD 2025 Summer Reading Program, Level Up at Your Library. And I'm also thrilled to have gotten to contribute a couple of guest cards to Dover Public Library's Reading Dragons program. I'm also the cartoonist and co-adapter on the New York Times #1 best-selling The Adventure Zone graphic novel series, and you can find my work at careyjaws.com.
Great. So we are going to start our presentation, which I guess we should have already started sharing.
We're
Whatever,
professionals.
super professional. All right. So here's just our little opening slide, and we can just move on. Okay. So what is Reading Dragons and Friends? The Reading Dragons is a reading incentive program where readers of any age earn collectible, playable cards by spending time reading. We typically focus on school-age children for this program, but many libraries have seen success with participants of all ages, teens and adults and seniors as well. It is made for libraries by librarians and is free to use by libraries of any kind. There are over 1,000 ready-to-print cards in the main program, created and designed not just by us at the Dover Public Library, but also by library staff from other libraries, local artists, kids, and teens. The iREAD 2025 edition of the Reading Dragons is a tiny bite-sized version, perfect for jumping into this program for the summer. There are 32 unique cards drawn by Carey Pietsch that will reward readers over the course of 2 months. The main program is collaborative by design, which means that library staff like you can create your own cards using editable art templates or create extension activities for the program. We'll do a quick rundown of some of the features of the main program at the end of this presentation, but our focus today will be on how to run the iREAD edition of the Reading Dragons. All right, so the goal of the Reading Dragons is to motivate readers to build positive reading habits. This program levels the playing field for readers of any ability by rewarding them for the time they spend reading. We set a goal for readers to earn a card for every 30 minutes they read. Why not base rewards around how many pages are read or how many books are read? So there are 2 reasons for that, which we discovered the first year we ran this program, using page count as our goal. So number 1, we wanted to make this program approachable for children who find reading difficult. Kids can struggle with reading because of many factors. Skills develop at different rates for each person, and if a person has something working against them like dyslexia, reading can be really hard work. Page and book goals can highlight differences in ability that can be disheartening for children who find reading difficult. By using time as a goal, getting kids to read regularly, readers will develop their skills brick by brick at their own pace. They can take their time reading without the pressure of completing competitive objectives. On the flip side, or other reason, we were seeing children who excel at reading choosing books based on how quickly they could rack up their page count. We saw one advanced reader's choices move from big fantasy chapter books to picture books with plots they didn't necessarily enjoy because they could get through the pages quickly. And this defeats the purpose because we don't just want people to read, we want them to find joy in what they choose to read. Okay. So the goal of providing an incentive in this program is to help readers get over the hump of 2 obstacles to reading joy. The first is that reading is boring. I know, that's a library blasphemy. But I'm sure you've talked to adults and kids that don't want to read because reading is boring to them. And reading can be boring if you're reading something that doesn't interest you. We want to give readers the opportunity to explore different kinds of books so they can discover what does interest them and maybe find the spark that creates a reader for life. We want them to spend time with books, choose what they want to read with no restrictions. They have a good chance of discovering what kinds of books they like to read this way. The second obstacle is that reading can be really hard. Think of a skill that you have a hard time wrapping your brain around. For me, it's math. I really struggled with math class in school, and I would even describe that experience as being painful, at least mentally. People have different brains, different abilities, and reading can be just as painful to them as math is to me. And there can be so many other things that contribute to reading being hard. Maybe the reader has dyslexia. Maybe they have aphantasia and they can't see the story unfold in their mind. Maybe they didn't get reading support from their family when they were younger. An incentive isn't going to fix any of those things, but maybe it can be used to motivate them to spend more time reading, to develop their reading skills and make the process of reading more comfortable for them, helping them to find joy in reading too. So I have a story to share with you. It was shared to me by a parent from another state, and she gave me permission to share with you. I cannot overstate how much I appreciate what these cards have done for my girl. Literally, she went from being 100% not interested in reading and would fight us when we begged her to read just a few words per night. It's understandable her reluctance given her dyslexia, but it also felt important to keep trying with incentives. Because of your reading dragons, she has become highly motivated for the cards and started reading without any further encouragement from us. Now she is reading full middle school level chapter books, sometimes 35 pages a night. She is still motivated by the cards, but she actually enjoys reading as well. And that's from Desi. So the purpose of an incentive is to create a positive reading experience, to help motivate readers to develop their reading skills so they can get over the hump and find joy in reading. All right, so let me introduce to you what we have in store. This program will run over the course of 2 months. The tracker we have supplied covers June and July, but if you need to make changes to the months on the tracker, I believe Becca will be making an editable template available, and it will allow you just to change the month names and also add your logo to the tracker. All right. So this is just for 2 months. And of course, you know, some of us don't run our reading programs at the same time, which is why we did the editable template, because people in maybe Australia, their summer is not the same time as our summer. So what you're going to do is give each reader a reading tracker that can be folded into a trifold brochure, and 3 starter cards and a how to play card, all printed on cardstock. These starter cards should be 1 card in each color: the red phoenix, blue kelpie, and green unicorn. That way they can start playing the game and learn how to play it right away. Liz is going to be showing you how to play the game later in this presentation. The game instructions are printed on the reading tracker and the how to play card so that they can store their instructions with their collection of cards. On the back of the reading tracker are some fun ideas for reading, like eat a snack while you read, read in a silly voice, read to a pet or stuffed animal. But how does this reading tracker actually work? So for every 30 minutes of reading, participants will mark off 1 square on their tracker. Each square represents 1 card. When they complete a row of 4 squares, they will have earned all 4 cards and a matching set of dragons. So you can see the dragon checklist on the side that shows all of the really cool dragons that Carey Pietsch has designed. So they're in sets of 4. So with an egg, a baby, a teen, and adult dragon. All right. So let me give you an example. A reader reads for 3 hours over a week. They would be able to check off 6 30-minute boxes. That would complete the first row and half of the second row. The reader chooses the Luna Moth Dragon for their first set. Library staff will give the reader 4 cards of the Lunamoth family, an egg card, a baby card, a teen card, and a majestic adult Lunamoth card. Library staff or the reader will write on the line next to the row that they completed the name of the dragon family they have collected, and a staff will initial beside that to indicate that the reader has been given those cards. The reader would not collect the cards yet for the incomplete row. You could technically do that, but I recommend giving out cards for each completed row because giving out part of a set for a partially completed row can cause some confusion with the staff. On the inside of the tracker is a checklist that we've talked about. It features all of the dragons that they can collect, and this will help them decide ahead of time what to choose first. If a reader completes their whole tracker, they'll be able to earn all of the cards shown. If it is July and a reader did not complete their reading of June, we allow readers to continue to work on their June rows. We do not want to penalize readers for make them feel like they're missing out. So some readers may have gone on vacation, cutting short their reading opportunities, or they may have joined the program late. After the program ends, we also give readers a grace period to collect their remaining cards. While we recommend running the program this way, we do understand if you need to make alterations to how you run the Reading Dragons to fit with the needs of your community. So we are going to take an art intermission with Carey Pietsch, and then Liz will finish up the presentation with some cool ideas and technical details about running the Reading Dragons and Friends. So go ahead, Carey.
Great. Well, thank you again so much for having me. I was so excited to get to contribute a few designs to this fantastic program. Part of why I was so excited to be asked to work on this is that I've always loved libraries. I grew up in Ossining, New York, and was lucky to have my parents take me to the Ossining Public Library once a week, which was a huge luxury and a privilege. The summer reading programs there were instrumental in keeping that reading habit going and making me a lifelong reader. I was a voracious fantasy and sci-fi reader growing up, and I still am today, so the library was where I first checked out Ursula K. Le Guin and Tamara Pierce, and even work like Mercedes Lackeys that introduced me to concepts of queerness that I wouldn't come back to until much later in my own life. But I have very fond memories of asking the children and teen librarians for recommendations and the thrill of getting my own library card. So I spent a lot of my childhood and young adulthood reading, writing, and drawing, but I didn't actually go to art school. My undergrad degree is in psychology and cognitive science. Next slide, please. And I mostly mention that as part of my kind of thesis argument that anybody can draw and that anybody can grow stronger in making the kinds of drawings that they want to make, and it is never too late to start. One of the really cool things about the Reading Dragons program to me is its encouragement of librarians and patrons to make new cards for the program and new colorways for those cards, and for patrons to come up with new variants too. I've gotten to peek at some of the ones in the Reading Dragons Google Drive, and they are all so much fun. So if that's something you're interested in and you're struggling to start, I really recommend Linda Berry's books. They are some of my favorite writing and exercises on finding your way back to making marks on paper. I really strongly believe that technically good drawing is pretty much a fake idea. And if a drawing conveys what you want it to convey, then it is a successful drawing. So why not give making comics or making dragons a try? Next slide, please. So it took me a while to figure out that I wanted to make comics professionally. My first job out of college was working in a psych research lab. I thought I wanted to go to grad school for psych research, but slowly realized I was spending all my free time making comics instead of doing additional research. So I started taking a bunch of classes at local community art centers and later went back to night school at Community College Philadelphia to get a stronger technical foundation in drawing and painting. And I relied really heavily on the Philadelphia library system throughout this time for books to read on commutes back and forth to day job and school, and for reference books for the comics I was making at night. So I built up a portfolio of freelance work slowly while taking classes and working at my day job, and in 2015, I left that day job and moved to Brooklyn to be closer to comics publishers. I feel so lucky to have lived in close walking distance of Brooklyn library branches everywhere that I've lived here. Next slide, please. And now I make comics. So you might know my work from Lumberjanes issues 29 to 32, or the Adventure Time Marceline Gone Adrift miniseries, or my original mini comics, or my fan podcast about Animorphs, which is admittedly a long shot. So currently, as I mentioned, I'm the cartoonist and co-adapter on the Adventure Zone graphic novel series, which is a fantasy comedy drama. adaptation of the podcast of the same name by the McElroys. And as a professional cartoonist and as an adult in general, libraries are still a huge part of my life. I love to get to visit the main Brooklyn Library branch to browse art history and reference books. I'm inking, as I mentioned, the final book of the Taz graphic novels now and surviving that challenging work by listening to about 1 million audiobooks from the Brooklyn Public Library. My partner and I love to walk over to our local branch on breaks to pick up new releases and to read over lunch and talk about what we're excited about. And I feel so lucky to live close to the library and have that be such a big part of my life. As someone who makes comics, it's always such a special thing to hear from readers who picked up books in libraries, and especially the librarians who stock them. And it means a lot to me personally to hear about young queer kids who are finding community, support, and connection through their libraries and their library reading programs. All of which is to say that libraries are really important to me on a bone-deep level. Next slide, please. So I was thrilled when Becca Boland invited me to work on the iREAD 2025 campaign, Level Up at Your Library. And then to be invited to contribute to the Reading Dragons program on top of that was really a dream come true. My poster and spot illos for the program included a bunch of dragons because I am a diehard dragon girl who loved Jane Yolen and Ursula K. Le Guin, maybe too much as a kid. But anyway, the number of dragons in my illustrations for a Level Up at Your Library theme that did not, in fact, need to include dragons is possibly why Becca reached out to me to say the Reading Dragons program might be interested in doing a small collab. Next slide, please. When I got started designing these dragons, oh, we're going back. Okay, cool. So here are the dragons I designed, which are also visible in the excellent resource sheets that Mallory and Liz included as part of the iREAD Summer Dragons kind of bite-sized program. So I had so much fun designing these, and I wanted to walk you through just a little bit of that process in case it's helpful to anybody else who's interested in designing their own dragon cards for their own library and for the Reading Dragons program at large. Next slide, please. So I started out with this really loose text document, which is really just a brain dump of ideas, associations, and possible real-world animals that I wanted to look at and chimera together for each dragon. You can see that this is really broad, including both my general thoughts about animals I might want to reference and notes and features I might want to incorporate. So after that, it is time for research. So I spend a lot of time looking at real-world animals and then drawing studies to see what features I actually want to modify and combine into something new. Next slide, please. So here are some of the loose drawings and studies I was doing as a part of that research. So again, this is really broad, but focuses mainly on actual animals. I think grounding the fantastic in a couple of real world details really helps sell new designs as something that you can imagine existing. So this is a bunch of me trying to pay attention to things like how are butterfly legs jointed? How are wings connected to the overall body? What's the overall muzzle shape like? After that, I wanted to try to start making some initial exploration sketches for what the new dragons look like. Next slide, please. And here are some of those super rough sketches and very preliminary thoughts. So you can see that some of the shapes are pretty close, like that slug baby dragon for the water dragons was my favorite and just got it in one, but that's really rare. So I really like working on paper for this step. I find it's easier for me to be loose with that than it would be if I was working digitally. But it's really just a good place to play around and start thinking about what ideas you might want to continue to refine. Next slide, please. So after that, I started doing some digital design drafts. So at this point, I knew loosely what themes I was going for, kind of these 4 broad categories, but the designs weren't locked in yet. You can see that I had a decent idea, or I had arrived at decent ideas for the overall big shapes of the water and air dragons, even though they're not quite coherent yet, and that I was still trying to find a feeling I liked for the fire guy. So the second pass is really just taking a swing at refining those rough designs with the reference research in mind. The fire dragon took a third pass to come together, but I was satisfied with the other 2 right away. And I also tried to work backwards from the adult designs towards cuter, simplified teen and baby versions, except for Water, who again, that baby was set for the start. Next slide, please. So here again are the final designs. Air Dragon, I knew from the start which insects I wanted to base the colorways off of, but I had a lot of fun coming up with alt colorways for the water and fire dragons that felt thematically appropriate. The Reading Dragon is cheating because I already basically had a final design from the earlier spot illos, so I really just needed to solve for an alternate colorway and some baby and teen versions. As I mentioned, I liked working backwards from the adults to solve what a baby might look like, but you might find it more fun to start from a teen and work forwards and backwards, or start from a baby and imagine it aging up. There's really no wrong way to find a design that feels fun to you. Next slide, please. So that's it from me for today. If you want to find more of my work, comics and illustrations, you can find me at careydraws.com. I have a newsletter at careydraws.com/newsletter, or Carey Draws on remaining social media for as long as it lasts. But I wanted to finish by thanking iREAD and the Reading Dragons program once again for inviting me to contribute to their programs. I loved getting to design these dragon variations, and this program is exactly the kind of thing that I would have gone bananas over and still am now. Like I am planning to print out a set of cards just to have them on hand because the design work that Mallory and Liz have done is so fantastic. And again, I've gotten the chance to peek at the amazing game and card designs, both that Mallory and Liz created and the other designs from all the other collaborating libraries. And they are all so charming and full of heart. I know I would have loved it as a kid, and I feel very lucky now to get to play a very small part in the program that Mallory and Liz and all of the collaborating Reading Dragons libraries have created and contributed and continued to build together. So thank you very much once again for inviting me to contribute to the Reading Dragon programs and iREAD. That's it from me.
Thank you, Carey.
Yeah, thank you. Like, your art is so beautiful and amazing, and like this was such a treat for us
Yeah.
to get to benefit from your amazing skill. So thank you.
Thank you. It's a treat for me too.
So yeah, I get to follow that. So back into how to run the program. So one of the most important things with any program is letting people know about it and promoting the program. So a lot of our success here at the Dover Library has come from word of mouth. And so use that to your advantage. Show the kids and parents the cool cards they can collect. Show them the game that they can play. Invite them to participate when they come into the library. Get the cards into the hands of the kids. Because once you see these little cards, they're so cool and they're so beautiful with Carey's art, and they'll be really cool. And of course, share your program on social media, in your newsletters, press releases, etc. Work with your marketing team, all that stuff. If you have a marketing team, our marketing team is us. So whatever you normally do to get the word out for your program. And finally, one really fun thing you can do to promote the program is to throw a dragon party. And this is a great way to kick off your summer reading program. We've had a few of these at our library. So some of these pictures are from our events and some are from other events, and they were shared with our Facebook group for the Reading Dragons. So we had like dragon themed snacks, like bugles, but renamed dragon claws, and games and crafts, and some suggestions for what has worked really well for us include making card boxes or bags. And we actually have a template in the Google Drive, which I'll show you later. Design your own cards. You can do some sort of scavenger hunt activity. Play games like carnival type games. We have Plinko to win special holographic cards. And of course, battle each other in the card game. So other libraries have done like cookie decorating, they've given away dragon prizes. And once you have the program up and running a bit more, you can even have a whole tournament playing with the tournament rules of the card game. So yes, there is a card game. Originally, the idea for Reading Dragons came from like digital pets and from games like Pokemon. I was part of an online community with digital pets, and what would happen was you would get your pets, and then you could breed them or be gifted babies, and then the babies would grow up into the adults, and then kind of goes on. But they would grow over time. For the Reading Dragons, my original idea was to have the kids have to read in order to nurture the pet so that it would grow. And just like those digital pets, but they have to read to get there. So that was the original idea. I also always wanted there to be some other reason for these things. Like it's not just you're collecting cards. And I thought that would be some sort of game, but I didn't know exactly how to do that. So Mallory came up with the genius way to meet that challenge. So each reading dragon card has a symbol and a color on it representing their element, water, fire, or plants. The card game uses these elements to play a version of rock, paper, scissors. So players choose a card to play, and on the count of 3, they reveal that card. And fire beats plants, plants beats water, water beats fire. Easy. The game adds that other layer that I was looking for fun and an interaction and another incentive to the program, because you can collect more cards and have more attacks in your hand. There are also tournament rules and a version of the game that is played like war, but we'll save those for later. For just the getting started and with the iREAD summer program, this is enough to keep everybody interested. One important thing to remember when playing the game is that the cards do not get traded. Participants write their names on the cards that they have so that they can be returned when you're done playing. So like one of the games is like war, and like you're not winning the cards. I mean, I guess you could change that and make it hardcore mode, but these are little kids we're talking about. Well, we won't do that to them. So on to an important question. How much does it cost? When we decided to share Reading Dragons and Friends, it was very important to us that we make it free and as easy to use as possible at your library. So there is no cost to the actual program. You can use all these resources for free. But you will have printing costs for the cards and trackers and such like that. So we estimate based on our printing costs, which may be different from your printing costs, that this is about 92 cents per person. This is to print 36 cards and a tracker for the summer program. There's also an investment of staff time. Again, we've tried to make this as easy as possible with printable cards and trackers already ready for you to just print on cardstock or on your regular paper. You cut them, you fold them, you're all set. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Probably the biggest time investment we have in Dover are the interactions with the participants picking out the cards, because we have so many of them. We have 2 or 3 binders full at this point, and more that we release every month. So, and kids, you know, you give them a choice of all these things, they take their time. It takes them a minute to decide, well, do I want Galaxy or do I want Ghost? Like, what do I want? So it's a very serious business for the kids. So with this iREAD edition, you don't really have to worry about that. But I did just want to mention that in case you do decide to continue and add more cards and stuff like that, just something to watch out for in the future. Yeah, so you have a heads up on that. All right, so we've been running this program for 6 years. We run it during the school year instead of the summer, because we always do a different summer reading program, and our dragons go on vacation, and there are some fun activities we do with that too. Last year we had 113 kids participate. We are a pretty small library, so that number is really good for us. The kids love the program, and we're blown away by how much it's grown. So as it's grown, we have had to continue to develop our terms of use. And with the special iREAD edition, we have some specific terms to keep in mind. Number 1, keep the program free. That is very important to us. There should be no cost whatsoever. Number 2, attribution. Do not remove the logos or the name of the artist on the cards and tracker. This is like our signature or the signature of the artist who did it. Mallory and I are both artists, so this is kind of a sensitive issue for us. Like, please do not remove that information. And give credit where it's due, basically. And then thirdly, respect the original artist and their rights. So this is the terms of use specifically for iREAD. This is the wording that they have used. The artwork and characters cannot be used on merchandise, advertising, or otherwise, with the exception of using images of the cards themselves to promote the Reading Dragons program. The art and characters may not be remixed or reused in any way. The art and characters may not be recolored into new colorways. And this is specific to the artwork done by Carey Pietsch. So we have a whole bunch of resources that you can recolor and you can use, but not for the iREAD stuff. This is just for Reading Dragons. This is special. So in more broad terms, for the other 1,000 cards, just be mindful that these cards were made specifically for the Reading Dragons, and they may not, you may not be allowed to use it in other ways. It doesn't give you free rein, because some libraries have also hired artists and have similar contracts where their art is just to be used for these cards. And some of the cards, like my library dragon on this slide, it's fine. You can use that however you want, but that's me giving you permission. And if you have any questions, the best thing to do is ask the library who published it, and just make sure that you're okay to use that image the way that you want to. Okay, so if you fall in love with the Reading Dragons, and we want you to, and if you want to continue using the program throughout the school year or next summer, or you want to expand it, whatever you want to do, you are in luck, because this summer edition is just the beginning. So you can visit us at doverlibrary.org/dragons. We ask you a few questions, and you'll get access to our Google Drive of many, many things. So you can download a whole horde of printable cards that are just ready for you to print. You don't have to do anything, no kind of formatting. This includes more starter cards and a variety of different mythical creatures. We have griffins, unicorns, sphinx,
Kraken.
jackalope.
Yeah, jackalope. There's
Yeah.
a Mothman card.
Yeah, there's a Mothman. It's awesome.
A lot of those were created by other libraries, which is really cool that they shared that line art with us.
Yeah. You can also find activities. So we talked about the color your own dragon cards. We've had those downloads there. Coloring pages. We've had design contests where kids have colored their stuff, and then we've digitized their design. There are scavenger hunts on there, files to make your own stickers. There's the deck box craft, which is a printable on cardstock that's in there. Some summer vacation ideas, and lots more. There's so much on there. You can also find resources to make your own cards. So if that is something you are interested in tackling, we have ready to color templates, and we have video tutorials. Now we use Procreate, and I've also used, so Procreate is for the iPad, and I've also used Fire Alpaca, which is a free art program for your computer, and it's pretty good. And tutorials and Canva templates that you can use to make your own cards.
Hmm.
Plus, you can share your cards with the whole Reading Dragons and Friends community. You can see where we've been. And your designs can be used across the US and beyond. So far, we've reached Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And we also have a Facebook group you can join to share more ideas, ask questions, and see what other fun things libraries are trying with the Reading Dragons and Friends. So special thanks to iREAD and to Carey Pietsch for working with us on this project. And this has been so cool. It's so amazing to see 202, oh goodness, so many people here today. Thank you all for joining us and allowing us to share our program with you.
Thank you for sharing your art, Carey, and thank you for the opportunity to be a part of your summer reading, Becca. And also thank you to all of the libraries that have collaborated with us to create new cards and create editable templates of new creatures and all the activities. There are so many activities that other
Yeah.
librarians, they're brilliant, and they've created for you to all use.
Okay, so there's been a ton of questions. I've been trying to answer them while I can. And I think we've gotten a lot of them answered, but some basic ones that people have been asking. You can't access the iREAD specific cards created by Carey Pietsch if you don't have access to, without, you need the resource guide to access Carey's art. It is a $15 digital download if you don't get it through your state. And you can do that through our iREAD website. You don't have to be a member. You don't have to purchase anything else. You can just get that resource guide and get all of those files if you'd like. If you are not interested in using the iREAD cards, that's fine. They have made an unbelievably comprehensive program for you all. And I will send out the slides when I send out the recording. It has that QR code, but quite frankly, this is such a popular program that if you Google Reading Dragons Dover Public Library, it'll take you right to them. That's how I found them. So, you know, this is a really, really flexible program. Because Carey is a professional working artist and we paid her for the art that she created for the iREAD cards because, you know, it's her job and we wanted to make sure she was compensated for the work that she did. Those cards and that art is as it is, right? Like you get the beautiful art that Carey made for the program. The other cards and the other art, unless they were specifically created by, and stop me if I'm wrong here, but if it was specific, if it was created for the Reading Dragons program and it's part of the files from the Reading Dragons Lovely Humans, you can mix that up. You can change the colors like they showed you. You can decide which cards work best for you in your library. Somebody said something about, can we do it where maybe I do, like fantasy is kind of not always great in my community. Can I do animals? The answer is yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And probably you aren't the first ones who have done it. So go and look and see what people have shared. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so they're asking about printing and laminating. I think you all said that what a lot of libraries do is get those like plastic card things that go in binders and the kids put them in there and then they're kind of protected when they're not playing and they can pull them out. And you're not just printing them on like paper, right? You're printing them on cardstock or something a little bit more.
We want it to be a little bit more durable. We don't laminate our cards. Some libraries do. So, I mean, like you can do what you feel the need to do. So yeah, we just do cardstock. We
Yeah.
also don't print the back of our cards, but I know some libraries have created like pattern designs or logo designs to print on the back of their cards, which you are welcome to do for the main program as
Yeah.
well.
And you said that some libraries even like send them off to be printed by like professional card printing
Yeah.
Um, I
Not
don't
us.
Yeah.
so like if you have the budget to send them off to be printed on like actual cards.
Yeah, they're like a board game, like a
Yeah.
custom board game company type place that'll do like really quality printing on like your custom deck of cards, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. The other thing we do sometimes, we get the holographic laminate sheets, and it's just like a peel and stick thing. And that's how we do the holographic cards. So we'll do those for special occasions, or if there's just one stage of the card or one version of it. Where I think Mothman might have been one, and yeah,
Yeah.
stuff.
That's I need a Mothman card, I think. So I've seen it a couple of times in there. Everybody loves the dragon shirt. So we have had it's one of those things where we try to please all the people and we can't do it. We've had a lot of people ask us, for long sleeve shirts because it's freezing cold in their libraries and they wish that they had long sleeve shirts. So we made the long sleeve shirts, and now people are like, why is that shirt a long sleeve shirt? We want short sleeve shirts. But I wanted to remind you all that you get all of the t-shirt art as part of your graphics files. So if you want the t-shirt to be short sleeve, you can make it for just your library short sleeve. And if you want it on a purple shirt or a red shirt or whatever the color of your library is, you can put that dragon on any color shirt you want. You can add we have a lot of libraries that will then add their logo either on the back or on the sleeve, or if they have sponsors, they'll put those on the back of the t-shirt. If the way that iREAD is that, we only have the capacity to make a limited number of shirts, a limited number of incentives, because like real people in a warehouse have to pull all of those and we have to get them printed. We're not, if I wish we were a print on demand kind of situation, but you would be paying probably 4 or 5 times what you're paying for those shirts if we were doing a print on demand. So that is to say that you have all of the t-shirt art as part of your graphics. If you want to print them, go nuts. Absolutely, you can. That's part. Just for clarification, the Reading Dragon art that Carey created was separate from the art that she created, the spot art and the posters and all of that. This was in addition to. So that's why there are different limitations on the Reading Dragon art than there are on the art that we provide as part of the spot art for the program. Hopefully that makes sense. So you can use the cards as cards for advertising, but I don't believe as part of the Reading Dragons we provided I think we provided them as cards and not as individual images. And again, that is to protect Carey's art and the way that it's being used. Can we use any of the other dragon designs for shirts from the larger Reading Dragon program? Again, you can put a card on your shirt if you want to, or a collection of cards, but not the art alone. What else? I just want to go through. There are a lot of cute peach dragons in the spot art that you can use to your heart's content. And so please do that. I think that people can mix it up, right? You said you do it by time, but if they want to do it by book or they want to do it by pages or whatever, they totally can, right? Like depending on how they log at their libraries.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, we've told you why we prefer to do the method that we do, but it's really up to you and your library, what you're comfortable with and what's best for your community.
I saw earlier that someone asked, they can make their own trackers, right? They don't have to use the tracker that you provided.
Yes, so for this, we do have a printable tracker that you can edit the months and add your logo to. So yeah.
But yeah, because I know some people are like, we go till August, but some people are June, July, and August. So they
Yeah.
might need to like create their own thing, or have like one that's June, one that's July, and one that's August, maybe. Are you comfortable with people making their own trackers, or would you prefer they use yours?
I mean, I'm fine with people making their own trackers. The only thing is that we do have Carey's art not on the card backgrounds. So when we made our editable file, we made sure to flatten those images so they couldn't be used outside of the tracker. But yeah, we can make sure that there are more options for editing that as well. But we'll have to provide a editable link. Becca, would you be able to provide that link to?
Yeah, so when I send out the recording to everybody, I'm gonna put the link to the tracker that you can edit in that email that I send out. I'm also gonna remind people of the breadcrumb trail to get to the Reading Dragon stuff, since some people were looking in art. It's not in art, it's in programs, which I know is confusing, but because it's a big program and they wrote this beautiful article and included all of this amazing information, for a lot of people that are like, oh, I'd like to know a little bit more about that, I would say first and foremost, go to those files. They are very thorough. They are very thorough in how to start and implement your Reading Dragons program. I believe you all have some videos as part of that too, right? Because people were like, can you do a webinar from beginning to end about how to do the program? But you have that already. That exists.
Yes, we have a couple of videos, one that's like you said, like an introduction, and then we have one where it was a Q&A, and I'm coloring a dragon as we answer questions. So there.
Oh, that's fun. And people are asking about school year and all of that other stuff. That's part of the wider program, right? To be able to do it. Oh,
So
I'm
this
sorry.
one's perfect for summer reading, and it's part of the summer reading program. That's what we intended it for. And like with the larger program, even though we use it for the school year, other people, use it however they need to use it. So some people do use it for the summer. Some people use it for like 4 months out of the year, or just like dip their toes in and do it for a couple of weeks.
So the t-shirt, somebody asked about the t-shirt. So if you go into 2025 art and graphics, which is not in the same folder as the reading, you got 2 folders when you downloaded. You got one that was all of the program files, including the files that were from our partners. And then you got art and graphics. In art and graphics, if you go to 2025 t-shirt graphics, you'll see that all of the art for each of the shirts that we have available in the store is there for you to use. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Is there a downside to using it year round?
When we started, it was just us, and it was just us doing all the coloring, and it was us. So we took the summer off because we were getting burnt out and we needed a break.
And the children's department needs a break too.
Yeah.
So they actually take a break a month of May.
Yeah.
So they end it before school ends. So the month of May is their break before they start summer reading in June. And then in August, when school starts up again, they take another break after summer reading, because you know how summer reading is, so much chaos, so much fun, and so much work. So they take another break and then start it up in September.
Yeah.
September.
But it's just burnout and combating that. But there are so many cards already made that you could probably do it year round and be fine. But for us and for our staff and for the size of our library, that's just what works for us.
And I love this idea. I think a lot of libraries have some sort of library mascot or something like that. Would make for such cute cards. I love that idea. And I love the idea of like a dragon hanging out with the mascot. That's really cute. I think you could probably do dragons that are wearing like a library t-shirt, or, you know, have the library logo incorporated into their design. I think you could do a lot. Oh, library gecko, that's very cute. Oh, and it works so well. He's like a tiny little dragon. So fierce. That is so cute. Are there any other questions? Did I miss any? I'm sorry, I was trying to keep up with all of the questions in the chat, and you all were just asking away. Okay, gameplay question. If you're playing with all levels of dragon evolutions, would you say a juvenile beats a baby despite the element? Does the age of the dragon impact their power?
No, so elements first and foremost, but a lot of people do play at that if you get a tie. So if you get fire and fire, they might use the age to decide the tie, or just leave it as it's a tie. But yeah, the age does not overrule the element type.
Okay, cool. Okay, and then I saw someone ask about art use after the summer. The iREAD program, the art that you download is yours in perpetuity. So if you want to use the dragon art for summer and you want to use some of the other art for winter reading or for decorating your library or whatever the case may be, we trust librarians to use art respectfully and appropriately. So it's yours to use once you have purchased it. Once it's yours to use however you see fit. So we have 4 artists plus actually a bonus artist for 2025. So you might decide you want to use one of them for your summer reading program, and then you want to use another one for your winter reading program. It's really up to you. You can go to the iREAD website. And I put that in earlier, but let me put it in again. Something funny is happening in the chat, I can tell, because everybody on screen is laughing.
Love the idea of a fire egg rolling into an adult grass dragon, and the adult grass dragon is just like, oh no.
That's very cute.
God.
Okay. I love it. Tracker for the school year, that's basically what their library does, so that's part of the stuff. Carey's card can absolutely be used outside of summer reading. In fact, part of the agreement that we have with Dover is that once summer reading is over, our iREAD cards are going to go into their pool. That's our thank you to them for letting us have this as part of the program. But it is exclusive to iREAD folks until September, I think we said. I don't remember what we said, until after summer reading. Collect their cards. Do you give people a little bit of extra time? Like, do you give them some wiggle room if a kid comes in after the program? Yeah, because the bottom line is we want them to be happy and involved in that. Oh my goodness. Okay, Julia, so when you download your resource guide, you get 2 files. It should have been when you downloaded, it gave you the option to download 2 different sets of files. Again, iREAD at ILA.org. I'm going to put it in the chat. If you're having fun, no, none of that is fun. If you are having problems downloading your files or finding the files you need, reach out to us. We're happy to walk you through it. The chat is not available in the recording, unfortunately. That's why I've been trying to say as much of it out loud as I can. Yes, Katie, we are finalizing everything with the DoD right now. We were testing files to make sure that all branches could download what they needed to download. I believe they are going to make those available for you early February. So it's coming. You'll get them soon. If you already had downloaded Lee's Class Guide, will I be able to go back and find that second file? Yes. So you you just go in with your account. You'll have access to it forever. So you just go in, you should have an email that confirms your access to the resource guide. Only one person per library can access that though. So if you were not the person who did that, you have to talk to your colleague. We highly recommend putting them all on a shared drive or a thumb drive that you can share with everybody to make them as easy to access as possible. And as I said again, if you are having trouble accessing Reading Dragons for iRead or any of the files, don't ever hesitate to email us. We're happy to walk you through it. You all have all kinds of ideas for Reading Dragon programming beyond the reading program, right? Like parties and activities and stuff that teens have done and stuff that littles have done. All of that is in part of your program. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you're getting so much, the amount the amount of amazing content that these two lovely humans have created and shared with all of us for free is bonkers. It's bananas. There is so much good stuff. Like go and spend, set aside an hour on your calendar to go through and read all of that information that they've provided, to watch the videos, all of that other good stuff. It's there. It's so good. It's so good. I mean, truly, like, just amazing. And yeah, and a lot of it's on their website as well. I mean, I think that you can make whatever program you want. Like if you want a Pokemon style program where at the end of the summer, everybody comes and plays. And I think you all have even like leveled up, excuse the blatant reference to the program, but for teens and stuff, you have a way to play that's a little bit more complicated. Is that right? Or did I dream that?
Yeah.
Is there another way to play besides the kind of rock, paper, scissors way?
So we have the war version, but other libraries actually made alternate rules. And a few have shared alternate cards that have like numbers on them to make a more complex gameplay. And that's also in the file. Like it's got its own little folder and everything that you can look at. So there are a lot of options. And when you're starting it with your kids, if you want to ask them, how do you want to play this game? Let them make their own rules, because we've gotten a lot of really cool ideas for how to play different games with the dragons that like we didn't think of. Like the main reason that we went with the rock, paper, scissors was one, it was approachable to the youngest level of children. Two, it didn't matter how few or how many cards you had, so you could still play it. And then we made the war version, which would work if you had a larger collection of cards, to kind of grow with that. But yeah, there are a lot of other ways to play those games.
Amazing. Well, we've come to our time, you all. Thank you so much for attending. Please, please, please reach out to us at iREAD@ILA.org if you have questions or you need help accessing any of the files. Thank you again to Mallory and Liz and Carey for being here and for this amazing program and beautiful art. We can't thank you enough. Everybody have a great day. And please, please share what you do with your dragons with Liz and Mallory and with iREAD. We really appreciate seeing what you all have done. Take care and thanks again. Bye, y'all.